Hi, I'm Karen Darko, and I've known Betty Orm for over 25 years. Our sons, David and Brian, were on the same soccer team, and we carpooled, and I got to know Betty that way, and eventually we ended up coming to Washington Heights with them, and we worked in the resource room together, and I always knew she was a caring, kind, thoughtful, intelligent person. She was a wonderful listener. And people would drop into the resource room and she would drop what she was doing, and she would listen to whatever was going on in their lives. Then I also noticed that she had a real love of family. Paul and Brian and Carrie, she just loved you all so much, and she wept with you when you wept, and she rejoiced when things were good with you. And Tony, she just spoke so well of you, and she honored you and she respected you. And Michael and Morgan and Noah, Samuel, Ethan and Solomon, Emma, Nate and Ben, you were so loved and so special to her. She would want you to honor her by knowing the Lord and walking with the Lord. So if you could do that, that would just be so special. And I believe she can look down and see what we're doing, and she would just be so pleased if she knew that you were walking with God.
Very honored and privileged to speak about my friend Betty. We met here at church over 20 years ago, and in addition, we were fellow teachers at Dayton Christian High School. Years ago, Betty, Karen Darko, and I began attending diet workshop together, and then we would go out to dinner to talk. We've since dropped the workshop, but we continued our weekly dinners, and this deepened our friendship. We have shared our joys and our hurts, and others have joined us, and we've all become very, very good friends. During all this time, I was able to observe Betty in her various roles of wife, mother and grandmother, sister, talented teacher, beloved member of this church, and friend. She both inspired and encouraged me as she so graciously, lovingly, and skillfully lived her life. I learned so much from her. She would tell me how loving and good Tony was to her, and how she depended upon him day by day. Her children, Paul and Brian and Carrie, were the apple of her eye. Oh, she was so proud of them, their accomplishments, their character, and who they had become. Her grandchildren were treasures to her, and likewise she was so proud of them. Her smile broadened and her eyes twinkled when she spoke of them. She loved her family vacations where all the family could be together, and she returned so happy when she showed us her pictures and told stories to us about all their fun times. Betty lived her life well. She kept her faith and she was guided by it. I am confident that Betty has heard these words. Well done, my good and faithful servant.
1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. We all wanted to say something about Mom and talk about some of the gifts that she's put in our lives and given to us, and we could go on and on, but we just tried to sum it up, and I'm just talking about the gift of love that she's given in our life. And the love that I just read about 1 Corinthians, that is Betty Lou to a T. She just is all of those things. She's not about herself. She's all about other people constantly, and one of the ways that she showed this love to us is by sharing the gospel with us, telling us about the most important thing, and that's having a relationship with Jesus Christ. I know she even led me to the Lord, which was such a special time when I was 6 years old. I just remember coming back from church and her doing that. And we even told her the other night when we had dinner, we were talking to her and just saying, Mom, the best gift, the best thing you gave to us was just having that faith in Jesus Christ. And that's just the best thing. And even we got letters yesterday. Dad gave us letters that Mom had written before she passed away. It was actually in February and March, somewhere in February and March. And they just said, don't forget your first love. Continue to love Jesus and look to Him constantly. And that's the one thing. And if she was here today, that's what she would tell you guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, she loves all of you that are here, and that's what she would say. Because that's the most important thing. If you take nothing from today, that's so important. Because we know we're going to see her again, and we're excited about seeing her again. Because we know where she's going, and she's been ready for a long time, Yes. She even said the other day, we were talking to one of the hospice people, and they said, where do you draw your strength from? And just as solid and confident as can be, she says, I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and I have confidence that He's going to take care of me. Not a blink, not a problem, that's just her to a T, And we were the ones upset at times, and she was the one telling us that God has a plan. I don't understand it, but He's going to work it out. And she would tell me, Carrie, He's going to work it out. But for me, with the gift of love, Mom constantly was hanging out with me all the time. She was just my best friend. I mean, we would go to coffee on Sunday. We would go shopping. Any excuse to hang out, that was Mom and me. So I just feel like she gave all of us the gift of love and the gift of just being my best friend and best mom. And so that's what I wanted to share today, is about the gift of love and how precious. And we already miss her so much and love her.
You got emotional leading into mine.
That's not cool, is it?
I'm going to read James chapter 1, verses 15 through 20. It says, my dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. James was Mom's favorite book of the Bible. And just an incredible practical book about living for Jesus. And she lived it out. And she lived it out in the good times and in the trials and in the suffering to the very end. She lived this out. But she was an incredible gift of God's grace to us. And every day we would see the mark of grace on her. And it wasn't, we could give incredible stories that we were even talking earlier today about people that would come into contact with Mom. And clearly, some of them wouldn't even understand what it was, but they knew something was extremely special about her. There was something about her, and it was Christ in her. And they would see it, they would notice it, it was defined, and God definitely left His mark on Mom. And we got to experience that grace growing up, and experience that grace, in our later lives. We're married and with our her grandkids, and just an incredible, incredible testimony to God's love for us, and we're incredibly thankful for that. Also, just looking down through this passage, the quick to listen, Mom had incredible grace to listen to all of us constantly. And even up until her last day, she was asking about our lives. And somebody new would come in and she would want to listen to what was going on with their day. And it was amazing. And she was quick to listen to all of us throughout our lives. She was slow to speak and she was slow to anger. And one thing I think about is that Mom was kind of worried that the medication or the treatments might make her mean, and she would say some of that. She would laugh and just say, "I hope I don't, become mean." And then we would just joke with her because there was not a mean bone in her body, and she lived abiding in the grace of Christ to the very end. And I had the privilege. Mom led me to Christ January 9th of 1980, and this truly is a celebration service of her life and the mark that she left on this world for Christ, and we cannot wait to see her again. And so again, as Carrie said, that the most important thing she left to us was Christ, and we're thankful for that.
Yep. I'm going to share about the gift of herself and read Proverbs 31:26-30. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And, you know, talking about the gift of mom, made a list a few weeks back just about what I really appreciated about her, so I was just going to read that. She was a godly woman, as evident from Brian and Carrie. She's the nicest and most caring person I've known. Probably would echo through the crowd here. Always leaving room for forgiveness. Slow to anger. Putting others first. You know, we were talking earlier today too, just about how she made everybody else better. I think that's part of what attracted a lot of people to Mom. You know, everybody wants to be a little bit better, and I think it was Christ's love through her shown to others. Sacrificing, loves to have fun, which, you know, that's where we get it. Tough and nice together. Lord's kind of laid this one on my heart. You know, niceness is not weakness. You guys have heard me say it today. Our mom was not weak, but she was so nice and so sweet. Loves unconditionally, and that's huge for all of us. That's how Christ would do it. But we thank Jesus for the blessing of her. And a lot of good times in the last few weeks, months. But the gift of love, the gift of grace, and the gift of herself.